Well, Dulac Group's former owner, explosives and chemical company Orica, also posted its annual results today. Excluding the paint demerger, net profit was just over $675 million, beating market forecasts. The company is now on the acquisition trail, and joining me to discuss the result is CEO Graeme Liebelt. Graeme Liebelt, thanks very much for joining Lateline Business.
Thanks, Philip. Pleasure.
Getting a bit misty-eyed when you saw that Dulux report. Any regrets about spinning off Dulux?
Not regrets as such, I must say, but I started with the Dulux Group when I joined ICI Australia, as it was back then. So it's got a special place in my heart. It's great to see the guys doing well.
Well, looking at your own profit result, a 4.6% increase for the year to September. Is it really all about mining and your exposure to the mining sector?
Look, it is now. Mining and infrastructure markets, we've gradually reshaped the portfolio over a very long time, and we're now more than 90%, in fact, exposed to those sectors, yes.
So is that... what were the brightest elements of your result today?
Well, look, I think all of the groups had some good results, and that would include the chemicals group, which is not completely exposed to mining, although much of it is also exposed to mining. But no, we were happy with the overall performance. It was about productivity, it was about cash management, headwinds from foreign exchange, admittedly, a little bit from volume, but not very much, so it was mostly about self-help.
Well, so how much did the strong Australian dollar hurt you?
About $75 million, so we'd overcome that headwind to deliver the profit increase that you described.
And there was a fall of about 10% in revenue. Why
Yeah,
that?
a lot of that's foreign exchange as well. We also lose some of the earnings from Dulux for the period that we didn't own Dulux during the year, and finally there was a bit of a reduction due to passing on raw material costs.
So, looking ahead, one other thing I want to ask you actually was that you booked a $32 million cost on the establishment of a provision for the mercury contamination at Sydney's Botany Bay.
Yes.
Does that have the potential to blow out any further?
No, that's a very contained problem. It's an area associated with some of our chlorine operations in prior years. It's in a very contained area, and so we're confident that that number will be the end of it.
And you're, and excuse the pun, riding a boom in demand for explosives in the coal mining industry here and in Indonesia. Why are you holding off doubling capacity at your Kurungang Island ammonium nitrate plant?
Well, that capacity is not needed quite yet, so we have capacity available, both ourselves and competitors, to support the industry on present growth rates through until perhaps 2014, thereabouts. We'll monitor how quickly our customers develop their properties and so on, how much extra ammonium nitrate they need, and we'll press the button when it's necessary.
Do you think there could be an oversupply situation?
If we were to build it today, there could be an oversupply situation, so we'll try and bring the product on when it's required.
Well, we talked about the strong Aussie dollar hurting you to some extent. Does it also create opportunities?
Look, the strong Aussie dollar is interesting in many ways. It's a two-edged sword for us. If the strong Aussie dollar is happening because commodity markets generally are strong, that's good for us. But of course it translates into less Australian dollars when we bring overseas earnings back here. So it's a two-edged sword. Does it create some opportunities? Well, it probably does create some opportunities in terms of using Australian dollars for investment and so on. But of course you've got to make a call there about what's going to happen to the Australian dollar in the future, and I guess we've decided that's quite a difficult task, so we wouldn't speculate much.
Well, acquisitions, of course, the strong Aussie dollar possibly makes acquisitions offshore more attractive. Is that not the case? Does it encourage you to actually redouble your efforts in terms of foreign acquisitions?
It's not necessarily the case that the Aussie dollar being strong would be a great boon to acquisitions overseas. You have to make a judgment about whether it's temporarily strong or whether it's going to even get stronger. Because, of course, it affects the earnings that you bring back to Australia as well.
But you want to increase your geographic footprint, as I understand it, so where are you looking at?
All over the world, in fact. We've got market leadership in the explosives business, for example. And yet we're still weak in Eastern Europe, we're weak in China, relatively speaking, weak in Africa, relatively speaking. So we've got more to do there.
South Africa?
South Africa is one area where we have a very minimal presence, in fact. We'd love to find a way of participating.
What about DSI in Germany?
Yeah, DSI is an interesting case. We had a look at DSI before we bought the Excel business back in 2008, and so we, in a sense, moved on. But if it became available, we'd need to look at it.
Graeme Liebelt, many thanks for your time.
Thanks, Phil.